Alright gamers, is the brand new Path of Exile League worth playing? The Secrets of the Atlas and the brand new Mercenaries League? And the answer is an absolutely hell yes. I had so much fun playing, and without even putting a day's worth of time into the character, I'm already pretty much blasting. You guys are seeing the brand new Mercenaries that you can interact with, which are actually pretty rewarding even while you're doing the campaign. This is earlier gameplay of me just in maps, and I am blasting with a bunch of different buffs that my mercenary that I hired is actually giving us. We get free haste aura, we also can get elemental weakness applied to the enemy, as well as a few different buffs here and there, depending on which mercenary that you get. And these mercenaries are incredibly strong, like they can actually solo content, because I was always worried that like these new mercenaries, they're going to feel weak. If you've ever played Diablo, the Diablo 4 mercenary system, I was super hyped up about it, but then when they came out, they don't really do anything in the endgame. But these guys do not mess around. In fact, they're like kind of overtuned, but I think that's a good thing. The only downside is if you're fighting them, because you have to fight them to have them join your party, it does become a little bit harder. So I want to go ahead and show you guys all of the new mechanics, and let's talk about kind of what you can do in the new league and why you want to actually play it. Because I had a lot of people ask me while I was live streaming, hey, is this worth playing? I only play Diablo. Should I get into Path of Exile now? The answer is absolutely yes. It is so much fun. This is probably one of the best PoE leagues and new expansions that we've gotten in a while, and I want to show you guys first off what's new. So for starters, you have these new mercenary systems. So when you interact with them, one of them is going to come up and you'll talk to them, and you can either take a item that they have, you can take all of their currency, or you can exile them, which means that they don't appear as often, because certain ones will have certain modifiers, certain auras and buffs that you may not want. Maybe they're playing like a character that's all about evasion. You want grace as an aura instead of like determination or whatever other auras exist. You can get wrath, you can get so many other auras. So if you see one that you don't want, you can exile them. However, if they do happen to have currency, you want to take the currency because, well, it's just free currency, right? And here's like another one you guys can see that you can get determination. They can activate different war cries to give you buffs as well. And some of these skills are not normal PoE skills. They are kind of modified to fit a playstyle to kind of be a mercenary because it supports you. You can also see that they have a level over here. In the earlier stages of the game, you will replace these constantly because, well, you're going to have them be leveled up. They don't level up on their own, which is kind of a downside, and I think that an oversight that they could have just at least let them level up, because the thing is that all their gear, you either have to replace it yourself, which you can do, but more than likely, through the campaign, you're just going to slam more stuff on top of them. But later, you're going to get an ultimate mercenary. And by the way, if they do die, you can revive them, but you have to wait until the next map, which does kind of suck because some of these can be actually very powerful and critical for a build to maybe function and reach breakpoints. But really cool stuff indeed. You can also equip them with their own gear. So giving you an example, you can see this is my mercenary over here, but giving you guys an example of what you can actually equip on them is anything that you would use like on, let's say, an animate guardian if you've played Path of Exile before. So what that is kind of like a minion, but the problem with that minion is you would invest a lot of stuff into the minion, and when the minion dies, you lose everything because the minion takes all of its gear with them. With these, you can equip them with items, and if they die, you can revive them and they'll still have their stuff. So items like Leercast, you can see, or it gives you reduced damage, which normally is bad, but if you put it on your mercenary that's also like a summoner, well, the thing is that it gives you a boost. You and nearby allies gain 50% increased damage. So you can use the mercenary kind of like a synergy buff, if you will. It's kind of like in Diablo 3 how you have the emanates. It's awesome. So it's really awesome to be able to use the mercenary as just something that can buff up yourself. But again, it buffs up everything, and it's really, really good. I think the game feels so much more fun, kind of just playing with someone that's not going to even take your loot. They don't take loot, by the way. You actually get like increased drops, but as far as it goes, there is kind of a penalty, as in the monsters will have more HP, but don't even worry about it. The mercenary does far enough damage to make up for that. There's also these new flower petal systems, which you interact with like way later in the game, which can kind of juice up monsters, making them only drop certain things like currency. You can see it like over here. And then also there is 3 brand new bosses. This is huge. I always like seeing something at the very end to kind of achieve, and I like that a lot. There's also these brand new ways to craft with what's called memory strands, which can drop on memory maps, which is again a newer thing here. It's kind of only really accessible in the end game, but what you do is you can get items that drop with what's called memory strands. And then when you craft on it, it's going to roll with higher tiers but consume memory strands. So you can see everything here is hit in tier 1. It is kind of a slot machine in terms of what you're getting. I'm curious to see how it works with essences, and if you can somehow get a fracture on one of these. You can also add memory strands to an item with an orb, that's probably super, super expensive. This is more like for the premium top, 1% or sort of things, I would say, because it's going to be pricey to even get a lot of these things, because you have to get the good base, and then maybe get a couple good mods, you spam alterations for a couple hundred tries, and then you throw on the memory strands after you hit like 2 different tier 1s. And then maybe you can get a fracture on. Like, you can have good crafting, but again, this is something that's really only accessible by like the low percentage of players, which is okay, because all the players can engage the Mercenaries system, which is way, way cooler. There's also a bunch of cool new unique Star Caller is definitely a cool two-handed axe, which makes it so when you crit on melee crit, you get the Starfall, which is basically like a firestorm that is like different colored. It's cool. Basically, adding newer ways to play is always something that I like to see in the game. Now, if you guys are brand new and you haven't played Path of Exile before, I have a new guide that has all of the timestamps for all of the important quests that I just recently have been uploading, so check that out if you guys have not. It has all of the pobs for every single stage of the game, which is really helpful. But because this is a review, I want to go over like kind of some scores, because I feel like without giving review number scores, it's kind of hard to go over. So, is the new League fun? Absolutely. I'm having a blast with it. What would I give it in terms of a numerical score? I would say for a PoE League score, this is the most fun I've had in any new like league. I want to give it a 10 out of 10. This is peak fun that I've been having with action RPGs, because it was relatively fast to progress. The loot was actually pretty solid. I gave it a 9 out of 10 for like, if I'm trying to like review PoE as like a game with this new league, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10. But for like the league score, again, it's like the most fun that I've had. The thing that I docked a point for is like, there is genuinely something that's like way overtuned, especially because I feel like your game should function for hardcore players. And if you get some of these new mercenaries and you challenge them, they will one-shot you sometimes. And it's like, it feels bad because like you have no control over really knowing if the NPC is going to one-shot you, and it's kind of overtuned. It's like way overtuned, but like in a sense, I'm glad that they're powerful, but I think in terms of fighting the player in PvP, they are way too strong. As far as rewarding goes, like did I feel like it was rewarding? Honestly, I felt like it was very rewarding, but it won't be like Ultimatum. Like if Ultimatum is a 10 out of 10 for rewards, this is like a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. I was consistently getting currency. You can see we're getting currency here. And again, when you go to the Mercenaries, if you do engage with them, a lot of times they will have currency in their, stash. Sometimes it's not necessarily always Chaos Orb. You might get some Alks early on, but I felt like it was rewarding enough, especially while leveling. Haven't gotten to T16 maps yet, but we will eventually get there. Or even T17 in PoE 1, right? But as far as the new bosses go, I can't talk about like a review score on that. I have not done them personally yet, and as far as crafting goes, I can't really give it a score. I'm sure that it's actually pretty decent, at least. It depends on the drop rate of these new orbs, but like in the very beginning with any league, like some of these things are so rare in the first day, because we're talking like day 1 right here, right? Without even putting 24 hours into the game. Some of these items are so rare because there's not that many people able to understand like the mechanic of how we actually farm them. But if you're wondering, is it worth playing? You've never played Path of Exile, the answer is an absolutely hell's yes. This is, again, the most fun that I've had in a while. Again, this is not sponsored or anything, I wish, but as far as campaign goes, I would say it's like a 9 out of 10. I really actually enjoy the PoE 1 campaign, and for me, like, I just really want to stress, I like PoE 1 way more than PoE 2, because you can go so much faster. In general, the mercs are incredibly good, but they're almost too good, because you have to battle them to acquire them, which is a good thing. I actually kind of like that, but like, in hardcore, I feel like people will just not want to engage the mechanic, and, most people don't play hardcore, but I still think that it actually makes the hardcore gameplay like broken. I know it's hype to see the streamer die, but it's very painful in PoE when you die, especially because most of the people that play hardcore are relatively good players. And then as far as maps, I feel like it's a 10 out of 10. You get free haste, elemental weakness, you get all these free buffs that like you normally wouldn't be able to get. Again, here you can see my Lear cast over here, but there's also some rules that I want to go over for the mercs that I think are important to give you guys as info. So you can either take one item, it will give you all the currency. So if you select currency, it will give you the augment as well over here. It's not like you choose just Chaos Orbs or the other one. You get all of them. I didn't know that at the start, so I was like, oh, I had to think what I want. But now it's just like slam the currency and we're good to go. And then also, if you exile them, it removes them, so you don't get that certain like mercenary again. Honestly, this is a mechanic where I don't really like, because you don't get anything out of it because you exile them, and I get that, but at the same time, it feels like it's almost a waste of time sometimes, because they can actually one-shot you, and that feels really bad. And then on top of that, you can also hire them, and they also have gear, and if you add your own gear, it will delete the gear underneath it, so it will permanently remove it. You can have up to 3 mercenaries at a time, but only one is active at a time. So like, even though you can have 3 of them, you basically can swap them for maybe very specific maps and stuff, and I think that that's cool. And then you only have one out at a time, is I guess the best way to put it. And then another important thing, because like when I had my Lear cast, my helmet, it has the requirements of like Dex and Int. Make sure that your mercenary also has that tag in the top right of whatever stat that you're going for. Otherwise, what will happen is that it will not be able to use whatever item that you try to give it. But again, here's another one. This one kind of had bad stuff, so I'm going to exile it because I don't want to see this guy again, because like he might have like determination. Most of the strength ones may have like determination. Like, you know, other faster ones may have something like haste, which is what I have right now. I have like a haste aura mercenary, and then also applies elemental weakness, which helps me because I do, you know, elemental damage. So I like it. It's really fun, and overall highly can recommend this league. So if you guys haven't played it, again, log in. It is definitely time to play some PoE. And then obviously we'll be showing off the bosses, and if you want the build guide for this exact build without even a day of playtime, we're pretty much blasting. I mean, like, some of the bosses, it may take like a second to kill, but for the most part, again, if you're looking at maps, like, I feel like I haven't felt this way of like blasting in a while, since like Diablo also like nerfed a lot of stuff, and then PoE 2 is in general just a slower game. You can blast, but the amount of movement speed that you can acquire in PoE 2 compared to PoE 1 is night and day difference. But overall, really happy with this league so far. So anyways, if you guys have played it, let me know your thoughts. What would you guys give it out of 10? I already gave you guys a bunch of my scores, but I'm curious to hear what do you guys think about the league. And again, another thing I want to stress, because again, I play Diablo, so I get this question asked all the time. PoE is 100% free. You do not need to buy the Siege of the Atlas or Secrets of the Atlas expansion. The DLC that is in here is all free with the base game. It's 100% free. It's good. Log in and play it, guys. Anyways, that's going to wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on it. If you're new here and you want to see updates to this build guide as well as other things, I'll probably be making some guides for this league in specific. And one thing that I think is going to be really important to go over is some of the best items to actually equip on your mercenaries, because there's a lot of ones that are kind of overlapping with Animate Guardian. But I was just even thinking, what if we just also run Animate Guardian? We can get some crazy synergies. It's going to be awesome. Anyways, take care, PoE players. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.